Streaming. Hopefully we are. Hi there, I'm Jason Brenizer. This is the Phenomenal Future Project or Phenomenal Future Podcast. I am on a grand experiment to put out some video content that's pretty darn raw, 365 days in a row, and this is day 3. Yesterday I had some technical difficulties. I think the audio worked, but the video was kind of messy. Hopefully I figured a few things out today and we'll be able to get this actually streaming. I think it's going out on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Again, we're going to see if that's working. So bear with me as I work out all these kinks. Now, the Phenomenal Future Project and podcast are all about the world of blockchain for artists and luxury brands as well. But you know, luxury brands have a lot of money behind their marketing and everything, and oftentimes artists don't really have a giant team to help them out. So that's where we're going to be putting a lot of energy and really helping artists understand that the blockchain is just not simply for, you know, cryptocurrency trading. It's not for moving around digital money and that kind of thing. It does of course do that, but there are a lot of ideas and functions on top of what the blockchain can provide. And so there are lots and lots of different blockchains out there that purport to do different things. Now, some of them are probably not going to make it. But if we look at this like what happened in the early 2000s, around 1999, 2000, 2001, the dot-com craze was in full force at that point, and every business was just kind of putting .com after their name and trying to create a website, even if it didn't really make sense for their business model. I think pets.com is a perfect example. Now people can buy, you know, pet supplies and all that kind of stuff online, and it does make sense. But back in the day, it was no one really thought it was going to go anywhere. And what happened? Lots of companies, 90% of those companies out there crumbled, fell by the wayside, didn't make it past their first few rounds of financing to get to the point where they were making money. And then only a few companies survived. You have your Amazon and Google and Netflix and Facebook and companies like that that have really dominated in what we call Web 2.0. And now we're moving into what they call Web 3.0 space. That's not very well defined. Hopefully we can get there a little bit for you as well. Of course, I'm learning just like you're learning. I just happen to be a few steps ahead of you. So some of you, right? Some of you are going to be way, way ahead of me. But you know, for those of you who are pretty new to this, I'm happy to share what I'm learning as I go along. And I really want to be that person who's doing the digging for you so that you don't have to do that on your own. So we're looking at kind of now, blockchain is kind of that. It's been around for 10 years or so, but it's still in that super early stage where a lot of these companies aren't going to make it. But the ones that do are going to really transform what our lives are like in the future. That's my belief. I'm sticking to it. And we'll see if it plays out that way. But that's what I'm thinking here. So there are a couple of platforms or you know, different chains that are probably going to survive. Ethereum is one of the strongest out there. Now, what Ethereum did back in 2014 was it took the concept of what the Bitcoin blockchain was, but it put on top of that a whole bunch of possibilities for functionality. Basically, people get to program applications on top of Ethereum to give you all kinds of extra functionality. Kind of like, let's see, what would be a good analogy? You know, the personal computer. You know, when the say the Windows operating system came out, that operating system defined a way for other people to come in and make applications that sit on top of it and give you all this extra functionality, from word processors to photo, you know, manipulation, and you know, by now a million other things. And so we're kind of at that point with Ethereum, and they are making some changes right now that will definitely help with the speed and security of the network too. So you got a lot of things to really look forward to. Now, I'm mostly talking about what Ethereum introduced back in around 2014, 2015. It was this ability to, because we can program on top of their blockchain, it allows us to create what they call smart contracts. That is like a normal contract that you might have written, or an agreement or something like that. But it's written now in code, and it will automatically execute as certain real world situations change. Certain aspects of that contract can be turned on and off, transactions can occur, and it's all happening automatically in the background without a third party in the middle of all of that. And along with smart contracts comes this idea of NFTs. I talked about that a lot yesterday. We went through a definition of what an NFT is, a non-fungible token. But today I wanted to talk more about why I think NFTs are important. And, I think they're important because it really helps people establish ownership of digital assets. Now, originally, NFTs, and originally by just a few years ago, NFTs were mainly used for artwork, digital artwork, and gaming assets. That's another aspect of this too. So you as an artist could actually, maybe you're a big time gamer and you love World of Warcraft or something like that, Dota, I mean, whatever these big multiplayer games are. There's now the ability for chains that are linked to the blockchain, rather games that are linked to the blockchain, where an artist could potentially make a non-fungible token for an item that exists in the game. So the imagery that they define might be a three-dimensional representation of that item. Maybe it's a weapon, a sword, a gun, something like that, that has certain attributes and that can be used within the game, traded to other players, sold to other players, just like anything that an NFT can be, that we can do with an NFT. It can move from hand to hand to hand. So it's really interesting now that if you're a gamer and you've done a lot of work and you've played many hours and you've amassed all of these things, wouldn't it be really nice for you to actually get some value back out of that, rather than just having it sit by the time you reach the end of the game, to be able to potentially sell some of these items to other players. Maybe they have to have certain attributes, like they're at a certain level or something like that, but that's pretty cool, right? So it's not just the digital art, it's functional digital art in that way when we're talking about a game. So that's really exciting. Now, those types of NFTs for games, there might be many of them out there, and they might sell for a little bit less than some, extremely rare, high-quality digital art, but that's okay. There are going to be many use cases for what NFTs can do and how artists can participate. So that's an interesting example. Let's see. So those were the two ways that kind of digital visual art and gaming assets that were the first two that showed up. But in the future, we're going to be looking at smart contracts and NFTs that have to deal with real estate. Concert tickets that you may get to go see a show would be an NFT, and loyalty programs and participation in membership, in a certain group. NFTs are a way to keep track of your membership rights, which is fantastic. Now, NFTs, I said, first emerged back in 2014. That was when Ethereum hit the scene, and that's when they were first. That's where they were first instituted. But there are a lot of blockchains out there now that focus on different functions or different. There's some that are say they're solely for gaming. Others may be solely for medical records and things like that. But I would say this, NFTs weren't really widely used yet until 2021. As of this recording, it was about a year and a half ago where it really started to take off. Now, in that time frame, NFTs went from basically $0 in value, because there weren't that many out there, to $17 billion in market cap in 1 year. Starting, I think that was April 2021. So now it's about a year and a quarter. And of course, that really helped heat up the development of NFTs and what they can do. It also, there also were many instances where NFTs, the code that was associated with them, were not thought through all that well. It was programmed sloppily. And a number of those NFTs, maybe you've heard that, someone stole somebody's Bored Ape or something like that. It was code sitting on top of a blockchain that had some holes in it, and someone exploited those holes and were able to kind of snake that from somebody. And you have $1 million NFT. Definitely sucks if somebody else steals that and doesn't even have to break into your house to do it. Let's see here. I've got all kinds of data here that's probably not that terribly interesting, but really April time frame, even in June, things went from June, 60,000 NFT sales occurred that June, and then middle of September there were 180,000 completed NFT sales. So it tripled in the course of 2 months. It's pretty amazing. Now, of course, the stock market has been depressed here in 2022, and also the crypto market has fallen in line with that. They're usually not correlated, which is interesting, but our economy is hurting a lot in the United States and a lot of other countries around the world. In the U.S., our inflation right now is like 9.1%. It's the highest it's been since the early 80s, like 1981. So, with a repressed economy like that, it's no surprise that a lot of trading in things that are a bit volatile and more risky has slowed down a bit. But I look at that as a fantastic thing, especially for artists who are looking to figure out ways to put out their own series of NFTs and really increase the participation of their fans and find new fans, and really be able to leverage this awesome technology. I look at this as a great thing, because you may say 6 months ago saw what was going on and thought you missed the boat. But because of this downturn, a lot of people are souring on, and by a lot of people I mean a lot of developers are souring on kind of working in this space for now. And I think that means really the hardcore people who are totally interested in this technology are out there developing now. So there's less competition. You have more opportunity to really think through all of the different aspects and details of how you would want to design a series of NFTs. And by design, I don't mean just, again, the image that we're talking about. If you're a musician, one of the NFTs that you can create might be related to a new album that you're working on. And people get access to, let's say, we'll get into this terminology later, but when they mint that NFT, maybe out of 100 tracks that you've recorded, they get access to 15, and they get to do their own mix with that. But the idea might be to also have them collaborate. So maybe other musicians are buying your NFTs and they're creating a remix that's semi-random based on kind of this opportunity of yeah, how do I say that? Throwing that a little bit of randomness into something is, I think, always a good thing for creativity. It requires people to kind of fill in the gaps, fill in the holes. It would be like, being at a gig and having other musicians show up and you playing jazz or something like that, and you're having to not just know what the standard, aspect of the tune is, but you're having to listen to everybody else and fill in where they're not playing, and that kind of dynamic is something that is pretty cool that you might be able to do with NFTs. And now let's say that you put out 1,000 of these NFTs and there are a whole bunch of people that do all these remixes. Well, you might pick the top 10 remixes and that may go on to an album. I know album is kind of weird these days because people are maybe not even buying digital tracks, but you're going to put out a secondary related grouping of the same songs that you're trying to get out, in front of fans and find new fans and all that kind of stuff. You're kind of pre-marketing what you're doing, getting people engaged, so when your version comes out, people are excited about it. And also, now, if people end up streaming all of these different versions that you're putting out, you might have just doubled your music, and you had 10 that are your pristine tracks, and another 10 that you've chosen out of all the ones that they've done. And now there are 20 of them that could potentially be out there streaming and making you money. And the cool thing is with the way smart contracts are written, you could be giving those people who you chose of their tunes, they might be able to get some royalties as well on some of that streaming. So maybe they make 25% or something off of each of those. And so this is a way to get your fans or possibly other musicians to participate with the art that you're creating, and also not just have the enjoyment of interacting with you as an artist, and really being kind of, in that way, it's you have a relationship as opposed to a one-way kind of sales relationship. That this is a way to deepen, engagement, deepen connections with you and a fan base and other musicians, and really all help each other get the word out. Because I know if I somehow got Radiohead to pick me for one of their top 10 because of a remix that I did and a couple of extra tracks that I added on my own, because I play instruments as well, I would tell all my friends about it. Would I not? Would I not get on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and let everybody know that this is coming out and that their new work is coming out and that I'm on it, at least one of maybe the 20 tracks that they're going to release? And now multiply that times all of the people that actually tried to participate and maybe didn't make the top 10, and you can really see how you can get a kind of a viral pre-market ready to go for anything that you're going to release out there. Now, that wasn't the best explanation. Like I said, I'm thinking this stuff off the top of my head, and I'm really just trying to come up with great scenarios. But I'm also working through my ideas right now, of what's possible. And it's a little bit weird to be doing that on video when I'm not so comfortable doing this. Like I said, I'm on day 3 of my plan to do 365 days of raw content here, streaming live. And so you're going to see my thought process and how I get lost in my thoughts and am trying to make sense of what's possible and refine my thoughts here in a live way. Now, I'm also going to be doing some of these videos where I'm going to be doing interviews, and it will be a nice interaction, and I think that will be some great content as well, especially if I'm getting some experts on here. But I have a partner in crime for this phenomenal future project, and if you're looking at the screen here, you can see on the bottom left a block mark as well. We'll tell you more about that later, but I'm going to ask you too also, you can leave comments, of course, here if you watch this. Right now, I don't have too many people watching this live, but hey, there are replays on YouTube, which is fantastic. So if you can leave some comments and let me know what would you like to learn in the blockchain space, and what I could do case studies of different artists and what they're up to. I could do so many different things, but I want to do what you would like to learn. And also, if there's some content that I actually do create that really makes a lot of sense, let me know that too. If I do an analogy that seems really clear, great. If I say something on here that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, you're like, that didn't really land with me, or if I'm wrong, even if I'm 100% wrong in how I describe something, better. I'm happy to see those comments, because like I said, I'm learning here. I'm just kind of stumbling along as I try to figure out all this new technology and how that can really benefit all you artists out there. And when I say artists, I'm talking novelists, I'm talking screenwriters, graphic novelists, musicians, performance artists. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Sculptors, whether it's fine art in the real world, or fine art that's all digital. I think there's a space, there are opportunities here for everyone to really help increase the participation, increase the number of fans that they have, and the engagement that their fans have, and the life of their fans. Because oftentimes, I have a couple of paintings here at my house that I love the artists, but I have one painting and I see it and I love it, but do I ever go on that artist's, Instagram channel and look at what he or she is up to? It's rare, so I'm trying to help artists figure out, of the people who have already engaged with their work, how do we get them to re-engage and have it not just be about the work, that one individual piece, but have it be about what the artist is trying to do in the world, what they're trying to say, what they're trying to change, how they're trying to get people to see things from a different perspective on an ongoing basis, and also to participate in the artist's exploration. Because as you know, certainly from some amazing people that you might have followed that have had a really long career. I'll use Radiohead again as an example. If you look at their first album and the song Creep, which was, a fantastic song, but you look at where they've gone over the years and how they've changed and how they've are they better? Well, they're certainly different, and so I think that's what I really want to help artists have, these relationships with fans and collectors, and ultimately, wouldn't it be cool to make some friends along the way and have a deeper social engagement, and not be that artist holed up in the studio all the time and never really having that interaction with other people. During COVID, that's been particularly difficult too. So I think it's really nice for us to be on this frontier together. I think that's it for today. It's probably 23 minutes already of me rambling, and like I said, I'm going to do this 365 days in a row. I probably will continue a lot after that as well, but there should be some good stuff in here, and eventually I'll be able to curate some of the best, depending on how I get feedback from people who are listening and watching. And it's like this is the Wild West of blockchain. It's a new frontier of technology, and it's a new frontier of how interconnected we can be with people around the world. And I'm just so excited about what is coming. And it's almost like I've been reborn. I'm halfway through life, more than likely, and it's like I get to start all over again. And I'm a fresh newbie when it comes to this kind of stuff. Now, certainly a lot of my experience in the past with technology and with art in a variety of forms is all informing what I'm doing now. But it's fun sometimes to be a beginner, starting all over again on something brand new, and it's exciting. It's also scary, but it's really exciting. So please take the journey with me. This is the Phenomenal Future Project, Phenomenal Future Podcast. I'm Jason Brenizer. I'm going to say adios from Texas.